Hello everyone, I am Laethas and welcome back again for another video. Today I have my manga haul for the month of October 2019. Yes, I know it is a little bit into November, but this just so happens to be the time I had to record. And before we get into the video, I have a quick question. This is going to be just basically for manga hauls. It's come to my attention that some people like different things when it comes to manga hauls, so just down in the comments below, let me know how you like manga hauls to be done. Do you like it when I show the covers? Do you want sort of a short synopsis of the story itself? Do you want me to just kind of give general recommendations for the thumbnails? Do you like it when I have the manga volumes, or do you just like some kind of generic sort of thumbnail? Just let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Trying to make the manga hauls a little bit better since I've been doing the same thing over and over for a long time. So a little bit of feedback on that would be great. But without further ado, let's get right into the manga haul. To start off with, I have a few oopsies because these were supposed to be in last month's manga haul, but I completely forgot to include them. I apologize, but first up, we have Animator Volume 1. This is a new series printed by J Novel Club. They're not just doing digital anymore, they actually have these print volumes, which is really nice. As for what is the series about, it's very much related to the anime production industry, so I haven't watched Shirobako, I know, crucify me, I've yet to do that yet, but that's about the industry. This is about the industry. Specifically, it's about a newcomer trying to get into the animation side of things, and she has just been hired on as an in-betweener, and she's just kind of in that training phase here in this first volume, and we are just kind of following her to see where she goes, but has a lot of information about sort of industry type stuff. So what do they use in the production of anime, the materials, the staffing, how does the company work, what's the hierarchy like? So it gets into some of that detail, which is nice, and it's just kind of interesting because we have been getting more of these, as I mentioned, Shirobako, but there are others out there that talk about the industry itself. But yeah, Volume 1 would definitely recommend at least giving this first one a shot. I think it is a very sort of not overly intensive, like it doesn't read like a textbook is what I'm trying to say. It's informative without being overbearing, and that's always nice to see, and it has sort of this character that you kind of want to see where she goes, kind of what her backstory is, because we haven't really gotten too much into that. We just know that she's a big fan of anime. But yeah, Animator Volume 1 would definitely recommend giving this one a read. Next up on the oopsies list, we have My Boy Volume 5. I've read the first two volumes, enjoyed it, gonna wait for more to come out before I continue to read, but it's basically about the relationship between this woman and this little boy. She is a 29 or 30-year-old office lady, and he's a very young kid, and she's kind of taken on sort of this maternal role for him because his mother is no longer there. Don't know where it goes beyond the second volume. As I've said, I've kind of put off to do some more binge reading because that's generally how I prefer to consume my media. But My Boy Volume 5, if you've been enjoying the series, I would find it hard to believe Volume 5 is going to change your mind on that, but it is Volume 5 nonetheless, and there it is. Next up, we have Inside Mari, Volume 5. Only 4 more volumes to go before this series is complete. This is put out by Denpa Books. It is a Shuzo Oshimi title, and from that, you can probably guess a lot about this series because Happiness is excellent, and Flowers of Evil is also excellent. Those are both Oshimi works, and this one is no exception. I think this is an excellent work as well. If you've not read any of Oshimi's works, he kind of feels like an Inio Asano, kind of light. Not really though, it's more of a different feel from Asano, but it's very similar. It's in that same vein of type of story. So if you're a fan of Inio Asano, then these are going to be series you're going to want to check out, and I'm very happy that Inside Mari is getting released in English. Yeah, Inside Mari Volume 5, only 4 more to go. Definitely recommend checking this series out. I'd like to say stuff about it. It's a little spoilery, so if you guys want a review, I'll try and get one out after I reread the series once all 9 volumes are out, but that is Inside Mari Volume 5. Next up, we have If I Could Reach You, Volume 1 by TMNR. This is another oopsie that I got last month. This is a Yuri series about a girl that has fallen in love with her older brother's wife, so you kind of know what's going to happen from that to some extent. If you're interested in sort of sappy romance or Yuri, absolutely check this one out. It's going to deliver on all that. If that's not what you're looking for, still maybe give it a shot, because I think the Yuri element is interesting, because it's not one that I've seen in English really at all, because there is kind of a gap in age between the two love interests, and sort of the subject matter itself isn't something that you typically see for a Yuri. Normally, it's high school girls, but recently we've been getting more series dealing with adults. This one deals with an adult and a high school character, so there is that. But definitely recommend at least giving this one a shot. I've enjoyed what I have read thus far. And last up for my oopsies, we have Aria The Masterpiece, Volume 3. This series probably needs no introduction. Very popular anime series. Very calming, very soothing work to read. If you're looking for something quiet and calm, check it out. And these Masterpiece editions put out by Tokyopop are quite nice themselves. You can see this is actually like gold foil, so it kind of shines. Let's see if I can get it to hit the light. Yep, there it is. Very shiny. But yeah, very good work. I've read the first volume, which is really Aqua, so I've not really read Aria technically, but it is the prequel series to Aria proper. Really enjoyed what I read. Can't wait to get the remaining volumes. Not too many more to go before it is complete. But that is Aria The Masterpiece, Volume 3. And for those of you who are curious, these are 2-in-1 volumes. Next up, I have Horomia, Volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that is Volumes 1 through 7 of Horomia. I really do like these spines. They are nice and colorful, and the colors all mesh well with one another. As for what the series is, I've read Volumes 1 and 2, and it's a pretty standard rom-com about two characters that meet kind of coincidentally, and they just happen to get along really well, and comedy ensues between them and their friend groups as things happen in rom-coms. But the specific gimmick of this series happens to be these characters are at school, and they kind of have these personas that they kind of, give off while they're there, and then when they get home or they're not at school, these personas are kind of changed. So our main female character, she goes from being kind of like a girly girl to being more domestic, and she likes to clean up and look after like her younger siblings, that kind of thing. And our other character looks like he's just, a really good student, really gloomy, kind of likes to do his studying, and then we find out that no, he's just kind of aloof, and his parents run a bakery, and he just appears gloomy and all dressed up and stuff because he has a lot of like tattoos and piercings on his body, and he doesn't want those showing at school. So that's kind of how these characters meet, and it goes on to be just funny things between them and their friends. Not really a whole lot else other than that. Solid romantic comedy, that's what you're looking for. Go check out Horomia. I don't really know what else more to say about it. Characters are fun. None of them are absurd or ridiculous. They're not like comically over the top. They're more sort of toned down, not really realistic, but more realistic than like most rom-coms you'd find in like Shonen Jump or something like that. This isn't in Shonen Jump, but just like for example's sake. But yeah, that's volumes 1 through 7 of Horomia. Next up, I have completed a series, and that is Emma with volumes 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, I'm not sure if you caught that, but I actually am using the variant cover for volume 2. I've read volumes 1 through 2, and all these volumes come with variant cover on the back of these dust jackets, and so I'm using the variant cover for volume 2 just because I like it more than the normal cover. But if you're a fan of Kaoru Mori and you haven't read Emma yet, definitely go check it out. It's an excellent series from what I've read. Can't wait to finish this one up. Absolutely fantastic series about a romance between two people that cannot be, but they're gonna try and do it anyway. But yeah, excellent series. Can't recommend it enough, and I cannot wait to continue reading this series. I've just got volumes 3 through 5 to read, which encompasses volumes 5 through 10 of the series. And yeah, can't really recommend it enough. Absolutely excellent. If you've read Mori's other works, there's only 2 out in English. Well, Shirley came out, but it was a CMX publication, and CMX no longer exists, so you can really only get A Bride's Story. And Anything and Something is also out of print, but that was released by Yen Press, so I'm hoping Shirley eventually does come out again by Yen Press, hopefully in a hardcover, so all her series kind of mesh together in these hardcovers that Yen Press puts out. But yeah, love Emma, can't wait to continue reading it. And if you've not checked it out already, highly recommend checking this series out. I don't think you will be disappointed. Next up, I have Tomo-chan is a Girl, Volume 5. 8 volumes in total for this series, so only 3 more to go. If you're looking for a short 4-koma or 4-koma manga, that's a comedy about this girl and her best friend, and they like each other, but they can't really admit that to each other. This is fun. Short series, not too long. The volumes are pretty short. There isn't a whole lot of text, so it's pretty quick to get through. But it's pretty interesting to watch these characters interact with one another. And if you're looking for a rom-com that's short and sweet, more episodic in nature, then I would recommend checking out Tomo-chan is a Girl. And there's only 3 more volumes remaining to come out, so it is relatively short. But that is Tomo-chan is a Girl, Volume 5. Next up, I have a new series, Ghostly Things, Volume 1, and this is about a girl that can see spirits and ghosts and yokai, and she's living in a house with a portal to the spirit world, and she's basically staying there because her dad recently bought the place, and that's where she's living right now. And there's this kind of gatekeeper spirit that she's kind of working together with to kind of help the spirits pass on. But not really a whole lot has happened in this first volume. We've kind of been introduced to the main bad guy, I think. And mostly this volume is just kind of setting up the characters, who they are, what their motivations are, that kind of thing. If you're looking for a supernatural-esque series, definitely check out Ghostly Things. I think this volume is interesting enough to warrant at least a cursory read. Very short series so far. Only 2 volumes are out in Japan, so it's going to be a while before we get more volumes. But of what I've read of this first volume, I am intrigued to see what comes next. That is Ghostly Things, Volume 1. Next up, I have To Love Ruh Darkness, Volume 12. Not too many more of these left, only 18 volumes for this, and this is the sequel to Love Ruh. I am waiting to read this series until I finish up To Love Ruh, which the final omnibus should be coming out in 1 or 2 months, so it won't be too long before I start getting into this. So I don't really have much to say about this series, although I will say it's probably a continuation of To Love Ruh. So if you like the original, you're probably also going to like this, since it is by the same team, and it is just kind of the same characters. So if you like one, probably like its sequel. But yeah, To Love Ruh Darkness, Volume 12. Next up, I have Road Queen, Eternal Road Trip to Love by Mira Ong Chua. This is a Kickstarter graphic novel, of course by Mira Ong Chua, and it just got licensed by Seven Seas, and they put out their own publication, because she had her own Kickstarter thing that she did that came with a printing of the book, and now we have the Seven Seas release of the story. It's good. It's alright. It's not my favorite series out there. I think the romance is okay. The Yuri is good. It's not the best series I've ever read. I find the characters to be kind of a little odd at times in the ways they behave. They feel kind of strange. I don't really know how to put it. Like, the characters themselves aren't strange, but I don't feel like they're necessarily behaving like human beings, if that makes sense. But, yeah, I did enjoy my read. And if more of her stuff does get licensed, or not really licensed, but agreed to print by another publishing house, I will pick it up just to see what those are all about. But if you're a fan of romance, or you want to look at a Yuri, I would recommend checking this out. It is only one volume, the single volume, and it is pretty short at just the one volume. And this volume is pretty thick, as you can probably see. It's right next to one of these perfect editions, and it is not quite as thick, but definitely more than half as thick as one of the perfect editions. But yeah, that is the single volume series, Road Queen Eternal Road Trip to Love, originally launched on Kickstarter, and now it got a publication by a real publishing house. But yeah, Road Queen Eternal Road Trip to Love. Next up, I have Skip Beat Volume 43, and I have to say, if you have not checked this series out, you are doing yourself a disservice by not doing so. When I initially started with this series, I wasn't super into it for Volumes 1 and 2, but by Volumes 3 and 4, I really got hooked on the series, and I just fly through these volumes whenever I decide to sit down and read them, because it is a very engaging series that gets you to flip pages just through it the entire way. An excellent series, and I really don't have much else to say about it. If you've not checked it out, definitely give it a read. It's up to 43 volumes, which I want to say is the longest series that Shoujo Beat is putting out in English. But yeah, definitely check it out. Can't wait for more, but we are getting caught up with the Japanese release. I think they're on volume 44. So unfortunately, volumes are not going to come out very frequently, but I will await each one with anticipation. But yeah, Skip Beat Volume 43. Next up, I have World Trigger, Volume 19. This series was on a long hiatus, but just recently got back to releasing. I think Japan is on Volume 20. If you're looking for an action shonen series with a little bit of a different take on sort of a battle manga feel, go for this one. It has nice action. All the fights are team fights for the most part, so that's an interesting dynamic. And the characters, for the most part, are fun and interesting, and there are quite a few of them, but I don't feel the series, disregards characters, or at least, makes you think they're important, and then they end up not being important. I don't think it really does that. But yeah, if you're looking for an action series, I'd recommend checking this one out. It is different enough from many of its peers that I think it can offer something unique to sort of satisfy a niche or a craving that you may be getting old of or tired of, and I think this can freshen that up. But this is World Trigger Volume 19. Next up, we have Dead Demons Destruction Volume 7. A new Inio Asano work, well, kind of new, we're on Volume 7 already, coming out in English. I have very much faith, I have a lot of faith in Inio Asano. He's yet to disappoint me, so this is one of the few times where I am just buying blind. I have a hard time believing I'm not going to like this series, but I can't really say much about it because I haven't read it, but I imagine if you're an Asano fan, this will feel very similar to his other works. Unfortunately, there are only 8 volumes out in Japan, so releases are going to slow down, but it's an Asano work. Loved everyone so far. There are some of my favorite works out there. Cannot wait to see what he does with this series, but that is Dead Dead Demons Destruction Volume 7. Next up, I have Tokyo Ghoul Re, Volume 13. This series needs no introduction, so I'm very quickly just kind of get through this. Only 3 more volumes left before it is over. Once it completes, I'm going to read the whole thing through. I am going to read the whole thing through. Can't speak today. Read the first series of Tokyo Ghoul. Really liked it. I think I'll like this one as well. I've heard good things about it. I've also heard some bad things, but I read a little bit of it a long time ago, but I've forgotten most of it. I remember enjoying what I had read, but now that the physical volumes are coming out, I'm just going to wait for it all to come out before I jump into it. But this is Tokyo Ghoul Re Volume 13. Next up, I have The Golden Sheep, Volume 1 of 3. Since this series is so short, I'm just going to pick up all the volumes and then binge read it all at once. Maybe give my thoughts on it once I have done that, but this is by Kaoru Ozaki, the author of The Gods Lie. So if you enjoyed that series, this one might have a similar feel to it. As I've said, I've yet to read this volume because I'm just going to wait for them all to come out before I begin, but I am anticipating enjoying this series, and it's pretty short at only 3 volumes, but that is The Golden Sheep, Volume 1. Next up, I have That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Volume 11. I enjoyed what I have read of this series. I'm probably going to binge read a few more volumes now that I have accrued a lot of them since I stopped reading it, and I am thinking of just watching the anime as well, but I'd like to read the manga first, and then maybe give it a few weeks to a month before I watch the anime. But, it's an isekai series, so it's gonna feel similar to other ones. You kind of know what you're getting into with these kinds of series, but from what I have read so far, it is focused more on the comedy aspect, and I have enjoyed that, because these isekai series can really be a hit or miss for me. Sometimes I just can't at all get into them. Sometimes I enjoy them. This happens to be one that I enjoy. But that is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Volume 11. And last up, I have Berserk, the Deluxe Edition, Volume 3. These are excellent editions released by Dark Horse. They are 3-in-1 volumes, and they are $50 a piece. But if you want to own Berserk, if you buy 3 singles, that's $45. So if you spend $5 more instead of getting 3 of these paperback releases, you can get this giant hardcover. So these would be what I recommend doing, just because the price is pretty negligible, and these are very nice books. This one is still in its shrink wrap, but I can't really open it because of that. But if I could, I would, because I think these are really nice volumes, and it kind of showcase sort of their build would be good, but just take my word on it that these are very nice volumes. As for Berserk itself, it's one of my favorite series. Unfortunately, we are caught up to the Japanese release, so volumes take forever to come out, but that's been the case for a long time. So, you know, not really new complaints, just kind of the same old complaints coming at different times, but really enjoy these deluxe editions, and I'm happy that Dark Horse has decided to do this. But anyway, that is Berserk, the Deluxe Edition, Volume 3. So now, we've covered up through the first 9 volumes in these deluxe editions. They are quite nice, if I do say so myself. And that will do it for this manga haul for the month of October 2019. As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the comments section down below. I always love reading the comments, especially the long, sort of thought-out ones. Really enjoy those. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and share. Leave any and all feedback you have. What are your thoughts on the series I hauled? Are there series that you really enjoy, or new series that are coming out? Let me know all that down there in the comments down below. if you'd like to keep up to date with all of my content, you can hit that subscribe button and ring that notifications bell, or you can follow me on Twitter. There is a link to that in the description down below. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this manga haul for the month of October 2019. I am Laethas. Goodbye.